Hello, everyone. Today, our personal leadership lessons is going to be based on the movie King Richard. Listen, if you have not seen King Richard, you need to see it. It is a wonderful movie, and I'll tell you why. This movie is based on the life of the Williams family. We know Venus and Serena Williams. We know them because they're one of the greatest tennis players of all times. What a lot of us are not aware of is that their father, Richard Williams, actually is the designer and architect of their success. And this movie is about how he does it, how he takes it from a desire in his heart to a legacy that he can leave behind. Now, any of you who want to change your desire into legacy need to watch this movie, but most importantly, you need to watch this video as we talk about what Richard did, how he did it. Okay, my name is Dweh-Chenneh, and I produce personal leadership videos. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, definitely do so. Listen, like the content if it resonates with you, and if you know someone who will benefit from it, definitely share it with them. Now let's go into this movie. Let me tell you, I watched this movie and I really felt that it was an honor to modern fatherhood. Okay, I think Richard Williams is one of the most exemplary fathers of our times. Listen, if we always say parenting does not come with a manual, but if you're a father, you need to see this. And I feel that there are a lot of things that you can learn from Richard Williams in raising great children. Okay, now I'm not going to focus on the parenting aspect of this. I'm going to focus more on the personal leadership aspect of this. And I've always defined personal leadership as how do you take your life from where it is to where you want it to be. Richard Williams obviously wanted something more for himself. He wanted to ensure that his life was better than it was. And so he put into practice certain principles that I want to share with you. And those principles ended up making him the father of champions. Not just a champion, but father of champions. That is incredible. Incredible. Now, let's go into those principles. What are those principles that which Richard Williams practiced that caused him to change his life, his children's life, and the entire world? Okay. Principle number one that he practiced was he began with the end in mind. Richard Williams knew exactly what it is that he wanted his life to be. He knew exactly what it is that he wanted out of life. He had a clear vision. He said to himself that he was going to produce daughters who will be number one in the world in tennis, or the best there ever was, because he had two daughters. One of them was supposed to be the number one, and the other one was supposed to be the best tennis player there ever was. He was very clear about what it is he wanted to do with his life. He was very clear about what it is he wanted to do in his life. Okay. Now, unless you become that clear, your life will not make a great impact. Okay. I have a speaker who once said that if you do not know where you are going, you will get there and not even know that you've arrived. Okay. Destination is very important. It's important that you have a clear destination so you know exactly where you are going. It focuses your effort, mobilizes your resources to get you there faster than people who do not know where they're going. What is it that you want out of your life? What is it exactly that you want for your life? Write it down as specific as possible. Then live your life from that place. That's what we call beginning with the end in mind. Principle number two, Richard Williams believed in his dreams. He believed that his dream was possible. As a matter of fact, he went around living his life as though his dream had already come true. He felt he already had champions in his house. He felt his children were already champions. Okay, he believed with such absolution, he believed that he was raising two champions. It is very important. This man was confident that his dream was possible. And because he was confident his dream was possible, he went about it with that confidence. That's what belief does to you. Okay, it is not enough that you dream big, but you must have an absolute belief that your dreams are possible. Because that confidence of the possibility of your dream will move you to take risk, to make sacrifices that will actually cause your dream to come to you. It is important that you believe in your dream. Belief is possible. Belief is valid. And when you believe it, it will be yours. It will be yours. So second thing he did was he believed in his dream. But this man did not stop there. He planned his vision. Okay? When he believed in this thing that he wanted out of life, this thing that he wanted to do with his life, he sat down and he planned it. Richard Williams had a 7 to 8 page plan for each of his daughters. How from the day they were born to the day they became champions, the steps they will follow, the goals they will accomplish, the objectives, the approach they will take, step by step, 7 to 8 pages written before these kids were born. This guy believed in planning. Okay, he put thought into what it is he will do to accomplish what it is he wanted out of life. And that's how successful people do. We wonder why we're not successful, but yet we have not taken time to plan for the success. If you watch the movie, there's a sign that they keep putting up on the tennis court. Failure to plan is planning to fail. Richard Williams was a big planner. He planned these things out straight from the beginning of their life. But one of the important things that I noticed about planning in this movie, because Richard Williams was such a great planner, he was able to live a balanced life. People would think that someone who is so obsessed with the mission of raising champions would have a lopsided life. You know, they will focus all of their time on practicing. But no, Richard had a very balanced life. Okay, his children had a balanced life. He made sure that they were academically sound. He made sure that they had a wholesome home life. He made sure that they had time to do everything so that they were a well-balanced family. It's very wonderful when you look at it, but you cannot achieve a balanced life if you do not learn to plan. You do not develop the habit of constantly planning your life. You can tell how frequently they plan in the movie when he tells the girls when they're going to bed. He tells them, make sure you plan in your journal what your tomorrow will look like. These people were not only were they big long-term planners, but they were daily planners as well. Okay, these were people who were making sure that they had a roadmap from where they were to where it is they wanted to go. Richard Williams was a planner. He planned the vision step by step, approach by approach, strategy by strategy, goal by goal. Listen, those 4 things I just mentioned, make sure you have them lined up about the big vision you have for your life so that you can follow them. Do you have the steps laid out? Do you have the objectives and the goals laid out? Do you have the strategy figured out? Maybe not totally and not completely, but as much as you can. What approach are you going to take towards that particular big thing you want out of your life? Write it down on a piece of paper and follow it. Richard Williams had a plan for their life. But he didn't just plan. This man made sure that he applied consistent critical effort, because he knew that consistent critical effort can achieve anything, with anyone who dream big, believe in the dream, and apply consistent critical effort, there is nothing impossible for them. There is nothing impossible for them. Consistent critical effort. This is just about being persistent, just about making sure that you put enough effort into what it is you are after. Those two things together will change any circumstances. So let's start with effort. Effort is the one thing that is important to be able to lift your dreams off the ground. You applying yourself physically, mentally, to be able to do something in the direction of your dreams. You have to apply effort. Your dreams in your heart is not enough, okay? Your dreams in your heart is just a wish, okay? Making the effort to write it down, making the effort now to decide in order to accomplish this big dream, I must do this, this, and that. That's part of the plan. But getting up and doing this, and that is the effort that we're talking about. You must do something every day towards the big dream that you have in your heart for yourself. Okay? Make an effort, but you also have to make it a critical effort. Okay? If you dream big, in order for you to achieve big, you have to also put in big effort. I like how Tony Robbins called it massive effort, okay? It is like a salesperson who has set a goal of $1 million. That person cannot be making 2 calls a day and expect themselves to make $1 million. That person needs to be putting in at least 150 calls a day in order to do that. That is gonna just add up. As you make 150 calls a day, you can imagine how many calls that is per week, how many calls that is per month, and the likelihood of the kind of follow-up that you would get from there. Massive effort. You cannot achieve big things unless you are ready to put in massive effort. That's what I call the critical effort. But that critical effort must not only be this week or next week, and then you stop. That critical effort has to be consistent. Okay? You notice Richard Williams and his daughter, they practiced every day, whether it was rain, whether it was shine. These people were out there practicing, making sure that we're getting better, putting in the effort. You have to be consistent. Oh man, Richard has so many excuses for which he could have not made effort. He could not have gone to train with his girls. It was a dangerous neighborhood. He could have said, it's too dangerous for us to go out there, but they went anyway. They kept going. They were very consistent. Every day they were doing it. You cannot let the conditions outside determine how much effort, whether you will try again today. You cannot let that happen. You cannot let what other people say or what other people do determine how the frequency of your effort. The frequency of your effort need to match the size of your goal. Okay? Keep at it. Keep at it. You don't stop until you arrive. It is not over until you win. You have to realize that. And so consistent critical effort. And so there are 2 analogies I like to just kind of consider here for a minute. There's an analogy where they say that, there is pressure that is pushing you down. But then there is effort that you are making to come up. If the pressure that is pushing you down, the things that are keeping you down, is greater than the things that are than the effort you are making to go up, you will stay down. But as you continue to make effort to go up and you keep making that effort and it builds momentum, sooner or later, the effort you are making to get up becomes greater than the effort of the things that are pushing you down, and you break through. At that particular point, you break through at the point that your effort to get up is stronger than the effort or the pressure that is keeping you down. Okay, that's what you want to achieve. You want to achieve, the astronauts call it escape velocity. The Earth, gravity of the Earth holds back everything that is on Earth. So as anything lifts off the Earth, it comes right back to the Earth because the forces are bringing it back to the Earth. But if you develop such speed, enough speed, that speed can help you to break through from the forces of the gravitational pull of the Earth, and you burst into a new stratosphere. And that is the kind of momentum that you're trying to develop. You cannot develop that momentum just by effort. You have to develop it by consistent critical effort. Doing it again and again and again. Motion will lead to momentum. More momentum will lead to breakthrough. It is important that your effort is not here and there. It's not scattered. It's concentrated. It is consistent. It is critical. And so Richard Williams' daughters were training all the time, no matter whether it was rain or shine, no matter whether there was naysayers or there was danger. These people were going on that court and they were making it happen. Consistent critical effort will change your life, can achieve anything. So it's not just anything you put your mind to, but anything you are consistently applying critical effort to. Richard Williams had that. But Richard Williams also had the mindset of a champion. Okay? Richard Williams had the mindset of a champion. He had it for himself. He built it in his daughters. This man will not take no for an answer because he knew that he had champions in his house. He knew he was raising champions, and he knew that champions never quit. They never stopped until they won, and he just kept going and going because he had that mind of a champion. And he instilled that same mind of a champion in them, telling them all the time that they were champion. He talked about them as though they were champion. You know, he told them as though they were champion. This man built the mindset of champions in his daughters. One of the highlight of a mindset of a champion that I noticed in this movie is the growth mindset. The mindset that says that you're not born already arrived. Okay, you don't just show up already perfect. Okay, it is effort that gets you to greatness. You are great, you're potentially great, but without effort you would not achieve, you not maximize your potential. And so that growth mentality is in there, where in this movie, failure is not a bad thing. Failure is an opportunity for growth. Failure shows them that, hey, we need to improve in this area, and they go back and apply more effort Failure did not define them. Failure did not mean that they were losers. They were always champions. Failure just told them that as champions, there is this area in your life that you need to bridge that gap. And it was important because that growth mindset is the mindset of champion. My last video talked about Kobe Bryant and his Mamba mentality, and that was one thing that Kobe always did, always finding the gap in his life and trying to fill it. What did I do wrong this time? How can I fill that? That's the growth mindset. Looking for ways to grow and change and get better and bigger, because in order to achieve bigger, you have to become bigger. In order to achieve better, you have to become better. But you can't be better until you're ready to grow into something more. And growth comes by learning from your mistakes, by making effort and applying that effort into becoming more. Okay, so Richard Williams had the mindset of a champion, and he instilled that mindset in his children. Never took no for an answer. He just kept going because he knew on the inside of him that, hey, I'm a champion maker. I am a champion maker. He knew that within himself. But it wasn't enough that he had a mind of a champion. He also spoke the language of success. Okay, your language has to align with your goals. Yes, your language had to align with your goals. From the placard, the posters he had on the wall, that you are a champion, failure to plan is planning to fail, to the things that he said to them and about them. Okay, he always used words and expression that always spoke them up. Not did not It did not speak down to them. He did not talk down to them. He did not discount them. He did not denigrate them or discount his children or say negative things about them. He always talked to them as though they were what they were becoming. That's very critical. It's important that we talk to ourselves as though we are what we are becoming. That is that act of faith. That is that act of solid, unmovable belief that you already are what it is that you are becoming. It is very important that you speak like that about yourself. Hey, no matter how much your business is failing, you're a successful businessman. You are still working on showing that success, but you are a successful businessman. No matter how difficult it may be in parenting, you are a great parent. You are still just working on becoming a great parent. So speak to yourself like that. And Richard Williams' words was always positive. It was always uplifting when it came to talking to them. Okay, talking about them, especially when it came to their identity. He was always positive, always speaking to them as though they were what it is that they were becoming. So he was one of those people who was, his language was not contrary to his goals. Some people are, going in one direction and the language is speaking in another direction. You are hoping for success, but your language is constantly saying, I don't think I'm going to make it. You're wishing to win, and then you're saying, oh man, this is too hard. I don't think we're going to win. No, you have to be able to step out in faith and say that we got this victory already. And that's how Richard Williams was. Richard Williams spoke about his daughters as though these people had already conquered the world. He's like, these girls will shake the world. He's like, I already have two of the greatest players in the whole world. He spoke on their life as what it is they were becoming, even as they were becoming that. It's important that we're speaking positively and prophetically upon our own lives, because words have power to shape our destiny. And Richard Williams understood that power and he applied that power. Richard Williams was also committed to growth. Listen, it's important that you have a big vision, but you cannot achieve a big vision until you become big. You will not become big unless you are committed to growing into something big. Okay, and Richard Williams was committed to growing into something big. This man spent his time always increasing himself, increasing his understanding, increasing his knowledge of the industry, the knowledge of the game, building new skills, negotiation skills, marketing skills. He spent time understanding where the loopholes were and what were the deficiencies in the game. And he used his overall understanding to develop new approach that his daughters use as what I call differential advantage. Things that distinguish them from other people, how they play. The open stance, for example, was something new, and they had the father and the mother in particular was the one who had discovered that, and by discovering that, they were able to incorporate it into the way that the girls play, and it changed tennis as it was. But they could not have done that unless they invested time and effort in building the knowledge and building the understanding to be able to discover that gap that they could exploit by developing a differential advantage. But he also developed a negotiation skill that allowed them to get way more money than a lot of the players before them. So Richard was committed to growth. If you will achieve something big and mighty, you have to be committed to become big and mighty. It is when you work on yourself to become great that you can achieve great. And that's what Richard Williams shows us in this particular movie. Additionally, Richard Williams understood the power of patience. Very powerful. He understood the power of patience. As these girls were coming up, opportunities started to present themselves to Richard and the family. Now, a lot of people would jump at the very first opportunity. Richard Williams did not. Richard Williams understood that sometimes you have to hold. You have to know when to hold, like the old song say. And he knew exactly when to hold. But he also knew when to walk away. So he understood, he was very patient in his approach, and he will hold until he had better opportunities on the table before he made his selection. Now, it made a lot of us watching the movie a little nervous, but we learned something from that. We learned that, listen, do not just be so hot to jump on the first opportunity and the first offer that comes to you. See what other offers are out there. And then you have options. And when you have options, you will always have much better value out of the decisions that you make. But it takes patience. And he showed us in this movie the power of patience. But there's another thing that is kind of curious in this movie, that he was so patient that he didn't want his daughters to just go straight and start playing competitively. And, the trainers were really mad with him. They really felt like the girls should go right then and right there. But he was more patient about their stepping into the limelight, because he wanted them to have greater fortitude before they could go out. He wanted them to focus on making good grades before they could go out. And that's something that anyone who had a dream like that will probably be really rushing to get the girls out there. But he believed in his dream so much that he wasn't in a rush, that he was waiting for the right time, a time that was good for them. But I noticed in the movie, when the fire of this vision transferred from Richard's heart to Venus Williams' heart, when Venus became the one who was on fire for this thing, that was the time that Richard decided, yes, it is time for her to go on the court. That very critical moment. There is a right time in your life for things. You have to understand the right time and the right season, and be patient enough to wait for those right times and the right season. If you act too early before the right time, your results may be truncated. Your results may be less than desirable. But if you understand what the right time and the right season is, and you wait and you act in that time and season, you may have exponentially greater results than you would have ever had. Richard Williams understood the power of patience. He understood the power of patience. It is very, very important. The final thing I can say, that principle that Richard Williams lived his life by, is that greatness comes to you by pouring your life out for other people. Greatness comes to you by pouring out your life to other people. It sounds very contradictory, but it is true. The more you devote your life to building other people up, the more your life becomes significant. Okay? And to tell people all the time who have having depression, all of that kind of thing, find a volunteer, a service to volunteer in your community. The moment you start to focus on other people, you start to feel meaning. Okay? But Here's the thing, Richard in this particular movie he devoted his life, he made it his life mission. Okay? This man had no greater imperative than the imperative of making champions of his daughters. That was his mission. He even spelled that out in the movie. He was like, I am in the champion making business. And I hope your life has a mission, because Richard's life had a mission, and his mission of his life was making champion. And because he poured all of his life into making champion, did everything he could to protect it, he invested all he could into it. Because he did that, today his daughters are the greatest tennis players that ever lived, but he is also known as the father of champions. Listen, your greatness will come to you based on how you can identify and pour yourself into meeting other people's needs. By serving other people, you elevate yourself. By empowering other people and making other people's life better, you elevate yourself. Make sure that whatever mission that you are choosing, you are identifying for your life, that mission has a way of benefiting people. Because if it benefits you, it benefits others, it will make you significant. And the more people it impacts, the greater you become. It's important to realize that. Overall, all of these things together, nine principles total, are the practices that Richard Williams, are the principles that Richard Williams practiced to take his dreams and turn it into a legacy. This guy is one of the greatest fathers of modern times. Hey, watching this show makes me it inspires me. It makes me want to rewrite the book as a father. And I'm sure it will do the same thing to you too. He is indeed great. However, there is one flaw that he makes that I think we should also be cautious of. For some reason, Richard Williams started to think that he did it all by himself. Pride, hubris set in, and he felt like he had done it all by himself. He didn't want to listen to anybody. He didn't want to confer with his wife. But truth be told, without his wife, Richard Williams would not have been able to achieve as much as he did. As a matter of fact, I sincerely believe that Orisane Williams deserved a movie all by herself. Because guess what? While Richard was Venus's coach, Orisane was Serena Williams' coach. And who is the greatest of all time? Serena Williams. So really, this movie should have been about Orisane Williams, and I'm sure a movie about her is in the works. I don't know, haven't heard anything about it, but the family will do well to do a movie about her, because she is such a powerhouse in this movie. It's incredible. It's incredible. Like I said, but he gets to a place, Richard gets to a place of success that he took for granted her role. This woman believed in his dream when he came home to her and said, we're going to have 2 more children, and those children, we will train them from birth to become the greatest tennis players that ever lived. She bought that dream. She bore those children, 2 of them. She raised those children. She kept a job so that it can help sustain the family. And she kept a wholesome household while he was out there training the two children. She did so much. And when they could only afford one coach for Venus and not for Serena, she was training Serena in the background. Listen, this woman is incredible, but he completely lost sight of that because he was focused on the greatness and all the great things that he did. He lost sight of who she was, what she had done to support them to get to that particular place. Never overlook the power of positive partnership. And that is one of his greatest downfall. The moment he overlooked the power of positive partnership in his wife was, I think, his lowest moment. And we should all be cautioned by this particular low moment. Before I end this video, let me say that one of the things I love about this movie is that when this started to succeed, these girls were known outside of their community. The moment they started to be known outside of their community, something strange happened. The very detractors became their supporter. In fact, people who attacked them became their protectors. People who said no to them wanted to come back to say yes to them. People who said they would not be able to do it were now the people who were following what they were doing. Listen, success is so powerful. Success is so powerful, it will change a lot of things in your life when you go for success. Listen, but you will get that success if you go over this video and listen to the 9 principles that Richard Williams practiced in his life to turn his desire into legacy. Thank you so much for listening to this video. And hey, hit the submit button, not submit, but do not necessarily submit, but subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and subscribe to this video. Share it with someone. If you like the content, definitely hit the like button. I really would like to also hear your comments. Give me your comments below. I love your feedback as I get prepared to do another video. Thank you very much. Watch King Richard, and it will inspire you to greatness.